you will never again get a panel with 336 years of experience.
It is important in any society that seeks advancement, innovation, and resilience to allow the articulation of different ideas.
My story, I hope to thank some people who have made a huge difference in my life. When he's on stage and he's in public, he's very fierce and formidable.
You can see that this is a spectacular book launch. I want to thank, thirdly, my good friends, Heng Chi, Tommy, and Gang Wu for participating in the panel discussion. I can tell you, by the way, you will never again get a panel with 336 years of experience. First time in Singapore's history. I'm going to try and briefly tell you my life story. And I'm going to apologize to Tommy Koh. I cannot make 3 points about my life story. I'm going to make 5 points, Tommy. And the 5 points all begin with a D word. And the 5 Ds are deprivation, dissension, diplomacy, deanship, and discovery. So let me start with the first D, deprivation. And here, I had probably a very typical third world childhood in a poor Singapore home. When I was 6 months old, my doctor actually told my mother I would not survive a severe bout of diarrhea. The doctor told my mother, your son is gone. I survived. When I was 6 years old, I was put on a special feeding program when I enrolled in primary school because I was technically undernourished. Now, as you can see, I'm overnourished. I stayed 33 years in MFA. The book explains why. But one key reason was that I discovered that small states like Singapore are underdogs in the global system. I found it very meaningful to help defend Singapore and Southeast Asia in the face of all our disadvantages in the international system.
Kishore has given me permission to disagree with him, but he said to do it gently. So I want to say to Kishore that I have 2 disagreements with you in your book. First, I disagree with Kishore's characterization of Lee Kuan Yew as a die-hard geopolitical realist. This is on page 78. The truth is, Lee Kuan Yew's inspiration was not realism, but pragmatism. A die-hard realist would not have as much respect for international law or multilateralism as Mr. Lee did. My second disagreement with Kishore is on page 185 of the memoir, in which he said, the world of international affairs is a jungle. So with great respect, Kishore, the world is imperfect, but it is not lawless. It is true, of course, that the rule of law is often broken by military powerful countries, such as Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Gaza. But we still live in a world governed by laws, treaties, courts, and tribunals. The international rule of law is often violated, but it would be wrong to say that we live in a world with no laws.
There is still one dimension of Kishore as a public persona that has not been covered. Kishore as a public intellectual. Now, what is a public intellectual, you may ask? Edward Said has a rather erudite and political definition of an intellectual, which includes engaging in the advancement of human freedom and knowledge, and sharing these ideas with the public. So he was moving to define the public intellectual. I will simply define a public intellectual as a specialist in a particular field who is well known for a willingness to comment on current affairs more on issues and concerns of society.
A few years after his book, Can Asians Think, was published, Kishore and I became colleagues at the NUS. He was appointed Dean of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, and I chaired the governing board. There I saw him not merely thinking, but also in high-flying action. His mind was on the big story. The school should become the public policy school for the rest, the way that the Kennedy School in Harvard was the one for the West. And he drew on his years in MFA for a distinctive global view. His stint at the United Nations, especially that in the Security Council, taught him what small states could do if they shared their dreams and manifold skills.
What is well remembered is Kishore's op-ed in the Straits Times in 2017 on Qatar, Lessons from a Small State. I think you all remember that, which argued that small states should behave like small states. This has been discussed. Oh, you didn't discuss it, Tommy. A number of voices came in loud and strong to disagree with Kishore. Bilahari Kausikan and the Ambassador at Large, Ong Keng Yong, and also the Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. K. Shanmugam. It was Kishore's point of view, but this was robustly put down as dangerous thinking. Singapore's strategy of survival, after all, was predicated on demonstrating we are not a pushover state and we are not easily cowed, and that we stand for principles. Now, as a public intellectual, Kishore advocates ideas, especially ones challenging received thinking. It is important in any society that seeks advancement, innovation, and resilience to allow the articulation of different ideas. Others can criticize and come down hard on the idea if there is disagreement, and the author of the idea should expect a fierce rebuttal and stand up to it. Now, all this illustrates his tireless mind, which seeks to think through ideas which can be useful or helpful to Singapore's progress and survival. We may not agree with all of his ideas or any of his ideas, but he enriches our society by generating ideas for discussion.